Hello everybody and welcome to a rare modern video that we see in the FPublush channel. This is a Dono deck list that I owed my friend Jamie. Of course, thank you so much for the continued support, Jamie, really means a lot. And we are going to be playing some humans today. So we have some classics, we have Champions of the Parish, Noble Hierarch, some not so classic in Esper Sentinel, but we have the old cards that we're accustomed to see: Thalia's Lieutenant, Meddling Mage, Reflector Mage, and then we actually have some new additions that came in the form of Copper Coat Vanguard and Girina Dauntless General. Both of these cards are from the Aftermath set or whatever that is, and both of them are very, very strong in this shell in particular. I'm really interested particularly in the Girina. Like, this card seems like it does a lot of what the deck's trying to do. First of all, it is Graveyard Hate, which is one of the angles that this deck could not really fight. We had the General Kudro who could do a little bit of that, but it wasn't particularly effective. This one just comes into play, boom, Thormod Script your opponent, nice and clean. And then obviously it is a removal and Wrath Protection, which is something that this kind of deck likes to see, particularly with a card like Fury effectively turning this deck unplayable. So having a card that can help a little bit in that fight may be of help, of course. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I really doubt that it's going to be enough. But obviously, the big spicy thing that we have going on, besides all of these like boring cards, are the new ones from the Lord of the Rings set. Boromir, Warden of the Tower, 3 mana, 3/3 Vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. Decent against Fury, decent against Cascade as well. And then you can sack it and creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And obviously, the Ring tempts you, which is probably a relevant ability. We'll see. It's not. But this card does some interesting stuff. I don't know if it's actually worth a card, since we already have 4 of the, the 2-drop version of that effect, which is much better. But having a 3-drop is okay. Like, it helps the curve, I guess. And finally, we have Aragorn the United. 4 mana for a 5/5, 1 of each pip. You love to see that. And whenever you cast a white spell, you create a 1/1. Whenever you cast a blue spell, you scry 2. So much value. It's probably going to be terrible, but this was the spec that Jamie gave me was: do whatever you want with the list, just don't mess with Aragorn. I think Aragorn is great and it's fun. It looks super memey, but I don't know, man. I'm willing to believe. So the list was also sent with 61 cards, so I assume that it was just a humans list where 1 Aragorn was added, and that's how I roll. You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna be doing this, this is hilarious enough to work. So we'll see. In the sideboard, we have some other new cards that have been printed. That's actually surprising, the amount of cards that have been low-key printed in the past couple of years to help this archetype, and how this archetype still can't compete with how outrageous the power creep in Modern has been. So it's kind of sad to see. But yeah, Learn of the Third Path is basically a Rex Sage, but it's a human, which is obviously good. 2 Sanctifiers, 2 Aura Champions. These are because Scam is one of the most popular decks in the format right now. Dreaded Magistrate against the Cascade decks. Same thing with Chalice of the Void. And then some Phantasmal Image against Creativity. Some Turax against the 4-color control decks. And Magus of the Moon versus all of the Ursa Saga decks in the format and like stuff like that. So this is what we're going to be playing through a link. If you're enjoying what you see, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll see you for round number 1, folks. Alright, here we go, round number 1. We have an incredible hand, actually. Turn 1 Champion, turn 2 Champion into Esper Sentinel. Sounds like a dream. So obviously we're keeping this, and I think I'm going to lead on that. I could potentially go turn 1 Sentinel, but that seems, I don't know, it feels like it's going to be less powerful against the broad spectrum of the format. So yeah, so just turn 1 Champion, pass the turn. Also, this makes both of my champions be able to survive Renin 6 if my opponent has it on turn 2, because I'm on the play, so that's obviously fantastic for me. Watergrave. Oh, wow. The Uniter is here. Let's go. My opponent could be playing Death Shadow. I don't think that I'm supposed to play around Death Shadow, and in the blind, I'm just supposed to attack for 3. If I knew for a fact that my opponent was on Shadow, then I think I would just straight up not attack. Well, now we know my opponent's not on that Shadow. I don't think I want to put this Sentinel on top. I think I'm going to bottom it. The good thing is that there's no Ren 6 in my future, so... So now next turn I have the choice between Jirina or Thalia's Lieutenant. I think I'm going for Jirina. Minamo. Bowmasters. Vomit. So... yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with Thalia here. So the dream, obviously, is I play Thalia here, grows my champion, I get to attack. My opponent doesn't have another Bowmaster. If they have another Bowmaster, they just get to kill my Thalia straight up. That's just heinous. So, the other option would be to like spend this turn to play Jirina and then following turn Thalia, but I'm really interested in like playing Thalia right here because my opponent went out of their way to like they 2-for-1 themselves with a subtlety, right? To prevent me from having Esper Sentinel. So I think that my opponent's playing a spell heavy deck. So I want to get Thalia into play as soon as possible. And then after that, once I manage to resolve this Lieutenant, then it's gonna be, things are gonna be a lot better. Obviously my opponent can just draw another Bowmasters and then I just probably lose the game on the spot, but it is what it is. Man, my opponent's being really protective of their life total. So do I Jirina or do I Lieutenant? Obviously I can't Sentinel. That's very mana inefficient. I think I'm gonna Jirina here because my opponent is very likely holding some form of counter magic. Opponent fetches and I expect a counter spell here. Seems fine. Like I'm happy that I got to trade Jirina for the counterspell instead of Lieutenant. We get in there for 5, send the turn back. So with Bowmasters in play, this Esper Sentinel is kind of awkward, actually. My opponent can trigger their Sentinel at will. So no attack, no blocks for the Bowmasters is interesting. Definitely gonna be playing this Lieutenant. Kind of sad that we're not hitting land drops and that we didn't find our Cavern of Souls, but we'll see if my opponent's got the counter magic here. Because I suspect that they're gonna play like the new Factor Fiction card. That's why they shocked. So if I can put a Thalia's Lieutenant on the stack, which is a fairly threatening card for them, if they want to counter it, that means that we're just gonna basically time walk them. Because they're gonna be forced to counter instead of play the Foth. This is not the lethal attack, but it puts me in a pretty decent spot. 4 mana for Otawara. Okay, seems okay. So next turn we're gonna get to Champion plus Sentinel. Unless we find a land, in which case I'm just gonna slam the Satellite. Wow, we just got there. Alright, cool. So my opponent's playing the blue-black control deck. It plays Murktide, and I don't think it's very good, but it is what it is. So Thorax probably good. And I imagine Sanctifier is pretty good. I don't think I want Aureok Champion. That seems a little bit too narrow. But Sanctifier being able to actually swing in a pretty meaningful way seems kind of good. I don't think I like Meddling Mage. Thalia seems great, so does Champion. Sentinel, Aether Vial also seems fantastic. I mean, the worst card in our deck is Aragorn, but I think that we are on this tip. That we're on the stipulation of we never cut Aragorn. I'm gonna leave in Reflector Mage. Just leaving in the 1 of Reflector Mage and just calling it a day. Yep. Turn 1 Aether Vial. Turn 1 Vial into turn 2 Thalia. Our best draw here is probably just the card Cavern of Souls. Hey, yeah, that one. I mean, you gotta know what you want to draw, right? So that's not, if you think about it. Do I want to play Jirina on 2? Because that's a card that does not get stopped by... Yeah, I think I'm gonna Jirina on 2. Because it doesn't get Bowmastered, and then it protects both my Sentinel and my Thalia. So yeah, definitely gonna go for human, play Jirina, and whenever my opponent fetches, which they miss the land drop notably, yeah, exile your graveyard. So as soon as they fetch, I'm just going to Violin in this Esper Sentinel. And we want to do it right now, so if my opponent has a push, we are taxing it. I would like to draw a card, please. Do I just let this Esper Sentinel resolve? Because I can protect it, right? I can just sack this. I have Thalia though, and this is, if I protect this and my opponent has Bowmasters, is all sorts of trouble for me. I think I'm going to let this go. I think I'm actually going to let this go. And I'm going to just protect Thalia. And my opponent just concedes. Alright, cool. Deck's broken. Here we are for round number 2, and I think this hand's a keep. So obviously we do have 4 lands, but my 3 spells are very good. And not only that, but I also get to cycle 2 of my lands, which seems pretty strong. So I'm just gonna go Cavern on Human and just turn 1 Vial. I want to get Vial going as soon as possible, obviously, because of what I just said about the Canopy lands. Opponent has Flooded Strength into Godless Shrine. They scamming? Because if they're scamming, they're gonna get... Yep, they are scamming. Alright, so I'm gonna get God pretty good here. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is the reason why the Humans deck is no longer playable, right? This is exactly why. This is exactly why we don't see this deck around anymore. The rest of the format has gotten a little bit too strong for it. Tick Vial up, and I guess I'm just gonna play out this sad Thalia's Lieutenant. Just a 2-mana champion of the parish. But it's gonna get eaten by the Grief otherwise, so I'd rather have a 1/1 that can grow in play. Opponent doesn't ephemerate the Grief, which makes a lot of sense. They're rather getting for 3. If they have Bowmasters, I'd probably just concede, right? Just Bowmasters, my Lieutenant. All of the sadness. Unclaimed territory, okay. I'm gonna cycle main phase. Oh, wow. Yikes. Get in there, Lieutenant. My opponent can have a ephemerate and like blink their Grief, whatever. Obviously, things are not working out for the good guys right now, but we got hope. We certainly got hope. I think I bring this up to... I'd leave this on 2 this turn. Brutal. The reason to leave it on 2 is because we have more 2s than 3s. Obviously, just as I said that, we draw a 3. What is this? 2 mana, Reprieve. By the way, that is actually a card that plays around Cavern of Souls, right? Because unlike Remand, which says counter a spell, put it into its owner's hand, this actually just says return it to hand. So it's a nice way to play around Cavern of Souls. So now obviously this Vial is gonna uptick up to 3. I'll name Human once again. Here's a Champion of the Parish. That's a trigger on the Lieutenant. That's good. Then we're gonna either Vial again. Reprieve not looking particularly strong, if I may say. Fatal Push. I do wonder if I'm supposed to just do that right now. Because I probably don't want to take the damage here. So let's just Vial in, but I think I should have done this on upkeep. Because now my opponent can Bowmaster the champion. Yeah, this was a mistake. I should have just Vial in the mage on my opponent's upkeep. Because like they hadn't had the chance to do this before. And now they do. I think I actually bounced the army token. But yeah, that mistake may end up costing me here. I'm gonna keep this Vial on 3, and the other one goes up to 1. I don't think that card has anything at all, so I'm just going to say blue, white. I'm just gonna name Solitude here. Yeah, Meddling Mage not looking too juicy in this matchup. A little bit too many impactful cards from my opponent's side. My opponent can potentially attack with the Bowmasters and then just play a second Bowmasters and kill the mage, but like that's fine with me, I think. Like second Bowmaster kills most of my deck anyways, so maybe they have an Undying effect or whatever, but brought back, sure. Sure. Whatever you want, opponent. So I think now we're going to keep these on 3. We're gonna uptick up to I mean, I'm just gonna play for the cheese because this Grief is killing me, so I have to beat it somehow. So I am going to hope that my opponent has nothing. So if they have no cards at all, we actually can get some value here from the double block. The One Ring. So now we say yes, play Thalia. Gonna double block the Grief. Go down to 3. These Vials are not gonna uptick anymore. And beginning of combat, we're gonna flash in Adeline. Oh, I guess they have the ring effect. Never mind. Oh, I should still attack though, just to get a 1/1. Yeah, that was a mistake. I should have attacked to get a 1/1. I messed that up. I should have it tapped 1/1 right now. Opponent draws a million cards. Eventually, they're gonna find the Solitude and run away with the game, but we still have hope. We don't have hope anymore. All right, so move on to the next game. Does this even do anything? This doesn't, because somehow the One Ring is indestructible, even though it actually is destructible in the Fires of Mordor. Phantasmal Image is kind of cute against Orcish Orcish Bowmasters. Yeah, sure, let's bring in the Phantasmal Image. Like, I already think Melee Mage is pretty bad. They had just too many things that I need to kill. So, maybe Sanctifier, because it blanks the... Oh, but they don't have the Unearth effect, right? Oh, but it does make the other card that we did see a little bit worse. Reflector Mage seems pretty bad. I think Vile's probably okay. Obviously, we just drew too many copies right there, but... Man, I'm just looking over this Orc champion, like, I don't know. Maybe it's better than the mages? Yeah, let's actually bring in the champions instead of the mages. Sure. Have a reasonable hand, I guess. Obviously, we can just get scammed and then everything is sadness, but if that doesn't happen, this hand does a bunch of things. It basically blanks Broadback, which is pretty good. Definitely enjoy that. I'm human here, and I'm just gonna play Sanctifier, and I'm gonna start beating down, or attempting to at least. But then fetches on my end step, which probably means no Broadback, right? Otherwise they would have saved the fetch for their turn, so they can ramp. Castle Locked. They kind of have to take this Phantasmal Image. Yep, they take the image, and I imagine we're gonna see an Ephemerate here. Just let it go. Well, that's a good exchange for me. That is definitely a good exchange for me. That's a terrible draw. Get in there, Sanctifier. I mean, I am gonna play out this Vile, but probably not gonna be great. They can have the Reprieve card, but whatever, right? So they just did nothing on their second turn, which is pretty good for me. Am I Violin in? No, I don't think so. I'm gonna say yes to Vile and no to the other Vile. So now I can basically protect this Sanctifier. Oh, come on. I mean, this is the problem this deck has, right? I mean, one of the many problems. Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, 19 lands. Yeah, that's clean, but in reality, that's... So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do this right now. We Vile that in, exile, and then I sack so that this doesn't have any targets. And if my opponent... Like, it just makes their Ephemerate awkward. Okay, so now the Ephemerate, still no targets, but just to keep the Solitude around, right? Like, that's the plan here. But now I get to play Jirina, and I guess I get to protect this once again. Is that worth it? Probably. It's probably worth it, I would assume. Black and white. So exile your thing, play Vile. Man, if only I had drawn real cards at any point this game. If only I had drawn any real cards. Okay, so now... Yeah, now we're just dead. So now we just pass the turn. Opponent Ephemerates, Solitudes, our thing. They're down to one card, at least. So we are sort of at parity. But my opponent's draws are much better than mine, I think, on average. If they have a ring, I'm gonna concede. Okay, they don't. Oh, they just play that so they can lot castle, which makes sense. Here, we just uptick every Vile. Draw a Vanguard. I don't even know if I just take the trade here. I probably have to, because my opponent's gonna have Solitude plus... They Takenuma instead of activating Castle. That makes no sense at all. So here I'm just playing a removal spell. If it resolves. Why would they Takenuma without anything in the graveyard instead of just activating Castle? That makes no sense. That's super weird. So here I'm just gonna uptick everything again because we still have Aragorn in our deck. Also, it's gonna put the fear in my opponent's eyes. Mantis Rider is fine, I guess. No cards in hand here, but they activate. I don't... Why? But sure. So for 3. And we're just racing. I guess my best draw would be another Mantis Rider. If I find another Rider, then I can maybe raise this castle. Adeline would also be pretty solid. Oh, they just drew the One Ring. Yeah, so... Cool. In case you're wondering why humans doesn't see much more play. This is probably... So always no. And yield. This is probably like a good showing of why this deck just doesn't see play anymore. So we send the turn back. We could have attacked for value, but... Oh no, they took 1 point of damage. So what am I hoping to achieve here? They just have Solitude. Sure. Sure thing. Okay, I'm off it. Let's just move on to the next game. Round number 3, this hand looks pretty decent. I think I'm gonna go once again with a champion draw. We can threaten turn 2 Mantis Rider, but I think getting these champions out of Bowmaster range is what the modern format is about these days. We can have a pretty quick clock. Main deck, Leyline of the Void. Wow. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. There's no Helm combo right now, right? Didn't I just like forget about the fact that there was a Helm combo printed in Modern? That's not a thing, right? It's gonna be a pretty healthy attack for 4. This is a strong curve. I mean, next turn we're coming in real hot. Just the casual 10. Opponent takes it and then fetch on my end step. Steam Vent Stabbed. Is this like a new version of Leaving End that I'm not aware of or something like that? I mean, if that's the case, I don't think I can realistically play around anything. So I guess I'm just gonna force my opponent to have it. White. I mean, this is 5-12. So your turn. So they need to have exactly fetch into basic. Fetch lands or shock lands are not lands. This just has to be Leaving End. Somehow main decking ley lines, right? Like I'm just gonna sideboard blindly as if I assume that my opponent's on Leaving End. So Dranith Magistrate comes in, and that's it. And then I think Reflector Mages are gonna go. There are certain contexts where I think Reflector Mages can be pretty decent. But yeah, I'm just assuming my opponent is on Leaving End. Maybe I'm sideboarding poorly, but who knows. And I think, obviously Meddling Mage is great, Jirina's great. Is it Boromir? No, obviously it's not Boromir. Is it Adeline? I mean, realistically, it's Aragorn, but but we're not doing that. I do like Mantis Rider to kind of like end the game as soon as possible. Man, all my cards are pretty good. I think I'm just gonna cut the Copper Coat Vanguards. We got the Chalice, we got a turn 1 Sentinel, and we have a Meddling Mage on Leaving End. Yeah, seems good. Leyline of Sanctity. Okay, this probably is not leaving. That's probably a decent draw. So now we get to Vial. I think I just pass. And next turn I play Chalice. What the hell is going on? I just have to assume. So here's a Chalice. I should have Vialed first, I guess. And now we're going to blue, white. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I mean, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out eventually, I assume. Scalding Tarn, okay. I mean, we're about to see right now. Oh, is this Calibrated Blast or something? Green, blue, 1. Shardless Agent into... Drumroll, please. Glimpse. Okay. Guess I should have thought about that, maybe. Alright, so it is Glimpse then. Which opponent obviously doesn't cast because it's a Chalice. One with the Multiverse. That's new. Okay, so let's cycle first, because I may find another Meddling Mage, and if I do, I'm gonna violate the second Mage. I did not, so let's just play a Sentinel, and I'm gonna serve with the dudes. And then I imagine they're gonna block the Sentinel, but that's fine, because we're just violating the dude. Just boosts our guys, and got in there for 3. The opponent just packs it. Yep, I mean, this is exactly the kind of matchup that you want to be getting paired against with this deck. These are the decks that we can actually beat. But yeah, now, you know, now that I see the Glimpse, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. that used to be a deck too. Yeah, good. All right, cool. 2-1. Man, we're on the play again. I feel like Moto is just looking at me like, Fran, please come back. I miss you. But then he gives me this terrible hand, so I'm not so excited anymore. Damn, that's a painful hand. I think I keep it though. Bottom Reflector Mage. It's got a decent curve, so we can go turn 1 Canopy, Champion, brace ourselves since we're probably getting paired against Burn. I guess we Lieutenant on 2. This hand's probably a keep. Opponent also moves to 6. Let's see what's going on. Prismatic Vista. Damn. Speaking of cards that I haven't seen in a minute. Copper Coat Vanguard. Okay, so I'm gonna play that instead, because it makes it a lot harder for my opponent to interact with my dudes. And it does effectively the same as the Lieutenant, in terms of boosting the champion up to 3 power. And now if I draw another land next turn, I can go Champion into Lieutenant, which would be great. Basic Island into Lorien Reveal. Into another Basic Island. Into Takenuma. I think I just Thalia here. Gross Champion. And this Thalia is still protected from Bowmasters because of the Vanguard. Do I send the Vanguard into Bowmaster? I think no. I'm just gonna attack with the champion. There's the very unsurprising Bowmasters. Goes to face, and I imagine it's gonna chump block. We are at 14 to be fair. If they have second Bowmasters, that's gonna be pretty bad for us. Vial is just a little bit too slow, right? Yeah, I think so. So I'm gonna be playing around the second Bowmasters here. And the way to do that is to play the Lieutenant now, because I force the Bowmasters right now. If they have Counterspell, okay, they do have the bow. So that means they're gonna probably kill the Thalia. Paying the ward, makes sense. Now this boosts all my dudes. And the champion gets in there. They block with the token. It's kind of surprising to me, because that token has a lot more value alongside these Bowmasters to like block. Like just these are not gonna do anything anymore. I'm obviously missing land drops, so I'm not gonna be cracking these canopy lands anytime soon. And these like prevent my Vanguard from attacking. So let's lead on the Vial, see if my opponent has the counter spell or something. Force of Negation, pitching Force of. It's a good play actually. I mean, my opponent would be tempted to like just hardcast that force, but then, you know, find themselves in this predicament. So they shield this Edict, which did not look particularly good there. My opponent's gotta do some chomping here. Still take 3. We're gonna be taking a bunch of damage next turn. They can still just draw the ring and the game ends, right? But okay. So notably, this is not counterspell mana, right? Opponent just packs it in. Really? Like one fatal push and they win, but they just pack it. Okay. Yeah, so this blue-black deck we already just played against, and it seems to be all the rage these days. So Turak comes in. I brought in the Sanctifiers, and I don't think I want the champion. I just don't think it does enough. We can cut Reflector Mages and Meddling Mages. This felt good. Another no lander, so let's ship that one. This one looks pretty solid. Yeah, so let's bottom the redundant Noble Heart. But now we get to go turn 1 Vial, probably turn 2 Champion into Hierarch. And now all of my opponent's counter spells are just dead, which is pretty nice. They're dead 2 ways because of the Cavern and the Vial. The only thing we have to... So I'm going to... We play the champion from hand, and then we Vial in the Noble Hierarch to protect it from Bowman. It's not a bad draw. It's actually not a bad draw at all. So we're just gonna play a land, name human, and I think... Do I just play champion anyway? I think so. I think I just play champion and pass the turn. If my opponent attempts to Bowmasters, obviously that's gonna go really poorly for them. And I could Vial there in response to the fetch, but I think I'd like for my opponent to target my champion, so... And my opponent's kind of forced to do this, right? Like, it's not like... it's not like it gets better for them, right? This is kind of a forced play. It kind of is what it is. Now, next turn, I have an option between Sanctifier and Jirina. I'm definitely going to be violating the Lieutenant, but I have that option as to what to do with my just cast spell. Okay, so Vial goes up. That's kind of nice, actually. So we're gonna play champion. Oh, I messed it up. I enabled my opponent's counterspell. Alright, whatever. And now we're just gonna play Sanctifier. If they have another Bowmaster, they're gonna play it in response. Looks like they don't. So now we're looking pretty good here. Obviously, my opponent could have a sweeper and stuff like that. But I guess I have Jirina for that. There we go. Army token down. 3 mana for Sauron's Ransom. I think I split it like that. If I do that, my opponent's gonna probably take the 1 spell, but I don't really care about the Shieldred's Edict anyway. I don't know about my opponent's cards, so... Okay, oh, so they actually drew the 3 lands. So maybe they just... Yeah, okay, so they have Ring, which is fine. I mean, it's not fine, I'm gonna lose to it, but... but still, it kind of is what it is. Okay, so Aether Vial, say yes, Lieutenant. I'm doing this just so I can hold up the Vial for Jirina from now on to protect me from some sort of sweeper. It's not a bad draw, not a bad draw at all. Not an insane draw or anything, but so obviously attacking doesn't make any sense, so I'm just gonna send back. It's pretty nice that we're also... The Jirina actually has the Jirina has the thing covered, the Murktide. They draw more cards. Fetch. 5 mana for another ring. So they just cast that one for the effect, because they're gonna keep the one that draws more cards, understandably. Orvar the All Form. What? Why? We're not gonna cantrip here because there's a Bowmaster, so there's no reason to enable that. Like, my opponent needs to chain rings for the remainder of the game at this point. Sheoldred. Okay, it's pretty good. It's definitely pretty good. So that's gonna very much offset the ring life loss. So go to cleanup. Still have a nice attack here. Okay, so I think we send both champions and the Sanctifier. Bowmasters. That's gonna kill Thalia, which sucks. I think this needs to do more work than that, right? So I assume we're gonna have a chump on the champion. 2 chumps. Play a land on human. And I guess I do have to protect myself against Murktide, so I'm gonna Vial Jirina now, so I can exile my opponent's graveyard. Otherwise, Murktide's gonna kind of own me. It's a lot of shoulder triggers. Point at a casual 21. Am I supposed to... Am I supposed to just keep in Reflector Mage only because of Shieldred? I guess there's also Murktide, but I have no answer to what's going on right now. Obviously, I have no answer to the ring, but I also have no answer to the Shieldred in play either. Yeah, I'm just gonna concede here. So let's actually bring in the Reflector Mages and cut 2 Hierarchs. Sure. I'm gonna keep this. Turn 1 Sentinel, turn 2 Copper Coat Vanguard to protect the Sentinel. Seems decent. On mulligans to 6. Tapped land and passing the turn back. Okay. Swing for 2. Push. Okay. Okay. Cycling Lorien Reveal. Gonna name human. And I think we're going... Oh, I actually can't cast Mantis Rider. That's brutal. I can't Mantis Rider there. It's pretty devastating. I guess I'm playing Jirina then. Black, white. Exile the graveyard. Swing for 1. So now Bowmasters can cleanly get rid of the Sentinel, which is terrible. It's really, really bad for me. Let's play that. Name human. And... So if I play Mantis Rider, that allows me to clock faster, which I think is going to be better. So blue, red. So getting there with the Mantis Rider. Obviously, I don't want to trade the Jirina for the Bowmaster. So the goal now is going to be to protect this Mantis Rider, and I probably cannot beat a 1 ring. So that part sucks. They pass the turn. Okay, so here is Thalia's Lieutenant. It also kind of sucks that my opponent's counter magic is live, right? But it is what it is. So this Vanguard has the Ward clause, which is gonna help, hopefully. For 4. Go, Mantis Rider, go. They have another Bowmaster. Oh, yeah. So I was gonna say please be Shieldred and not the 1 ring, but obviously it was the one I can't beat. So this was this has so far been a very enlightening, very, very enlightening league as to why humans doesn't see any play at all. So this is actually a pretty nice draw because like it's like my opponent doesn't have a free block because there's the Vanguard in play. Can they chain into a second ring? Is the question now. Okay, maybe Murktide. Maybe able to beat a Murktide. I don't know if I can beat Murktide plus Counterspell though. Am I cycling here? It makes the Orc army better. No, I don't. Untap. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so that's most likely gonna eat a Counterspell. There it is. And now, do I just swing with Adeline? Yeah, I think so. So we get in there with Adeline, forcing a chomp or the trade with the Murktide. And now next turn, it's gonna be rough. Next turn is gonna be rough. So we're gonna need to dodge Shieldred, and we need to dodge Counterspell after my opponent has drawn 4 cards. And another ring. Like, I also need to dodge another 1 ring. It's a lot of ifs. Ooh, baby. That's a good draw. Blue, white, colorless. Yes! No! Subtlety, no! Don't subtlety me, bro! Wow. Really? Alright. Well, we're gonna top that one. Probably need that. So my opponent's at a virtual 2 right now, though. So if I just swing with everything, let's assume worst case scenario my opponent has another Bowmaster. I mean, I probably still jam, right? I can sack Jirina, worst case scenario. Maybe I shouldn't attack with the Vanguard. I do have Bowmaster. Who could have thought that after drawing 17 million cards, my opponent could just have it all? Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have attacked with the copper coat. So we trade here, that's a chump. We end the turn with a Mantis Rider. If I sack this, they have 2 Bowmasters and a Murktide. If I don't sack this, they have only a single Bowmasters, but I have 1 Lethal Human. Yeah, this is probably better. I think sacking is probably better. Leaves me with more resources. Pass the turn. Opponent down to 2. And now if they find another ring, I probably lose because I'm at 9. So my opponent can just start swinging with the Murktide. Sauron's Ramson. Yeah, this is fine. So they drew the Damnation, but if they Damnation, they die to their own ring, so it's fine. So they actually can't Damnation right now. So I think that was a good split. Just like putting the Thoughtseize, Lure and Reveal, and in Explosives on one side. Because my opponent knows about the Reflector Mage that's coming up, and like the Damnation is also just not enough because they just die on their upkeep. So they tank a bunch, then they tank a Numa, which only costs 3, which is very cute because the Murktide is the ring bearer. That's funny. And now blue play another Murktide, which seems fine. 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to chump now. But that is fine because we still have lethal on the crackback and my opponent knows it because they know that I'm drawing the Reflector Mage. So, yep, got there. Wow, that was close. That was close. Last round and we have a pretty terrible hand. So let's ship it. We're on the draw finally. I guess I keep this hand. Feels I'm going to, but I'm in the plains. Okay, turn 1 basic swamp, go. So this is nice because we get to play around Fatal Push here, which is cool. Get to play a Vial. And if my opponent had a push, we kind of time walk them. Dothy Voidwalk. Okay, so here's a champion. Here's a Hierarch. Trigger. My opponent says Titan Vial doesn't play these lands. Oh, Titan Vial. How I love the... I sack a creature? Okay. You get my Noble Hierarch. Swing for 3. Sounds good. Here's a Noble Hierarch. Let's tick up the Vial. And I guess I'm going to pitch this to Liliana. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 3. Trigger. Go to combat. Swing at them. And then the Adeline token is going to swing at Liliana. I could just also swing at them, but I think that, I don't know, like I don't think I want to leave the Liliana around. Particularly, I could have another one, I don't know, Damnation. Phyrexian Obliterator. Okay, how do I beat Reflector Mage? Reflector Mage is the answer, so up to 3 we go. Let's cycle one of these canopies. Lieutenant. That's no good. That is not very good. Gonna play another Hierarch. Pass the turn back. We literally can't attack into the Obliterator because our threats are just too large. That's gonna be bad. The good thing is my opponent can't attack with the Obliterator either, so kind of a fun little game going on here. Gray Merchant? Oh no. Well, that sped up the clock so much. Alright. Of all the things I was thinking I was gonna lose to today, Mono Black Devotion was not on the list. Alright, pack it in. Wow, Mono Black Devotion. It's kinda sick. Alright, so all of the cards that said protection from black, we want those. And I think that's it. Cut the mages. I think I want to cut Thalias. I honestly don't love the Reflector Mages, but I kind of need them because I can't beat Obliterator otherwise. This hand has no lands. This hand has only 1 land. Am I going to 5? I don't think I can win on 5, right? So let's keep this. We're going to have to bottom the Aragorn, unfortunately, but at least we have Sentinel. So if my opponent wants to interact with my cards, at least maybe I get a little bit of value along the way. Hey, look at that. No! Land. Gonna be tough to come back from this one. 2 mana for Gifted Aetherborn. Oh yes. At least we're drawing 1 drops, so I can't be too upset, you know? I don't think that's gonna be enough to turn this around, but oh my god, that's like the most gross Inquisition of Kozilek act art ever. Ugh, so weird. That co-select there really is Inquisitioning, you know? Alright, land off the top. Come on, land, easy. Alright, so my opponent's swinging for 2 and gaining 2 life, while I'm obviously just swinging for 1. Anybody's game at this point. My opponent's mana base is clean. I respect the use of the same art land. Look at that, a land. Can't be countered, baby. I know that you really want to counter it, but it can't be. Exile your graveyard. Gone. Can I draw one of my pro-white creatures, please? Pro-white creature, land. Ugh. Gonna the turn 5 Vial, of course. Turn 6 Vial, my bad. The slow grind. We're gonna get there, Vial. I have faith in you. Okay. Do I play around this card? I mean, I'm definitely playing either Boromir or Adeline. I think I'm gonna play around removal by playing Boromir. Ugh, they drew something. Hardcast Blood Fist. Ha! The ring tempts me. I have been tempted by the ring. Okay. So, that's good. I like that. So now we can play Adeline, and then we can flash in the Sanctifier if my opponent attacks. Swing, flash in Sanctifier, and block. Now we keep this on 2, and we serve. I guess I'm gonna play this just so that I can grow the Adeline by 1. Maybe I should have left the Sanctifier back to block. Grey Merchant. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything would have really changed the outcome of this game. Obviously, I missed land drops for forever, so I don't think I was really gonna be able to race my opponent. Like, eventually they were going to find something, right? But unfortunately, I don't think that's good enough, especially when I'm literally dead on board. I guess I needed to find exactly Reflector Mage to bounce the Voidwalker, and then draw the Lieutenant, then draw another Reflector Mage on the following turn. Probably not gonna happen. Anyway, well, there you go. Well. 3 and 2 is not the worst that I was expecting, honestly. And we also saw Aragorn the Uniter in action. The deck honestly felt like maybe it has more legs than it's given credit for. We did go 3 and 2 after all, we did beat a combo deck, and then we beat a couple of the blue-black control decks. And then when my opponent had either a good deck, like the One Ring deck, or the other one, the mono black deck was more of my deck just failed to function, I feel like. Although there's also the fact that we don't really have that many answers to something like Voidwalker. So let's go over a couple of things. Obviously, Aragorn is a meme. Like, you should just cut the Aragorn. It's just not good enough for the modern format. But if you wanted to fix this deck, or at least try to make it a little bit better, it feels like maybe Meddling Mage is more of a sideboard card these days. And like, this card was very good. I feel like maybe going up to 4 copies would be better. Thalia is meh. And I also think like Adeline and Mantis Rider are kind of what you want to do. Like, I feel like you have to exploit the cheese angle that this deck has, and trying to play cards that attempt to create a longer game, maybe more of a trap than anything else. So anything that kills my opponent as quickly as I can, like Adeline, like Mantis Rider, I feel like these are the cards that I want to max on. And then, you know, the cards that used to be good because they interacted with the combo decks, or they slowed down the control decks, like the Freebooter or like Meddling Mage, these cards feel like they're just not good enough anymore. Like, they are not clocking enough, and the longer that the game goes, the worse that it gets. Sure, if you get paired against Cam, like, you can name Fury with Meddling Mage, but you're gonna lose to, like, you know, if you want to be going for that plan, you should play 4 Meddling Mages. Like, if that's your game plan, you should try to play 4 of them. But I think that should not be your game plan. You should try to use this card to blank the opposing like Furies and things like that you can't beat. And if you don't have it, you just lose to them and you just move on to the next game. But I feel like being able to cheese out with Mantis Rider is kind of the name of the game. So cards like Mantis Rider, Adeline, and potentially even Reflector Mage. Like, Reflector Mage is also kind of a cheese card in that sense. I feel like you want to be maxing out on these in order to make your win rate as good as it can be. That may require you to change something of the mana, because if you have access to more Mantis Riders, you may need to like cut down maybe on like some canopies and stuff, and maybe play some other form of land, like I don't know if City of Brass or like Mana Confluence, but like something along those lines potentially. I don't know if you can cut a land once you cut all of the once you cut the 4-drop. I honestly don't know that part. I can't really help you with that, but I do feel like at least with the spell suite, you can do some improvements in that way. So we'll see. Hopefully, if the deck shows up every now and then. I really doubt it. Like whenever we played against the ring, it was heinous, and it just felt super helpless. And this deck has no angle at all against the ring. Maybe you could play Cascade Malcontents, but like also Malcontents, I think. Let me check real quick. So even the card, even the card Cascade Malcontents deals damage to the target player. So you could try this out and like hope that you're violating on your opponent's upkeep, or the hope that your opponent doesn't wrath you on the following turn. Like you can close the game out with Malcontents to play around the ring. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think Burn is low-key very good right now. It's because it can actually work around the ring really well, right? Like you just take a turn off, and then you on their upkeep you just burn them to death. So it's pretty nice. But that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for watching, folks. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and bye bye.